Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back. Let's get started. Om. Om. गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्यवत् ॐ गणेशाय नमः ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्या सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यकेशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं यस्य सन्निधिमात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम्। Chinmayam tam namamyaham. Let us do the Pratasmaranam. Pratasmarami hridi samspuradatmatattvam Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam Tad brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangha Pratarbhajami manasa vachasamagамyam Vacho vibhanti nikila yadanugrahena Yanneti niti vachanaihi nigama vochuhu Tam deva deva majamachyutamahuраgyam Pratarnamami tamasah parabarkavarnam Purnam sanatana padam purushotamakyam Yasmin nidam jagadasheshamasheshamurtau Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai Let us Hari Om everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Vedanta classes. Let's do a quick recap. But first let us chant the first verse. Vedo nityamadhiyatam Taduditam karmasvanushtiyatam Tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi Kamye matistyajatam Papaughav pariduyatam Bhavasukhe Doshonusandhiyatam Atmecha vyavasiyatam Nijagruhat Turnam Vinirgamyatam Let's do a quick recap. Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. Daily study of our scriptures. We need to study the Adhyatmika Granthas. Why? To understand the goal in our lives. Taduditam karmasu anushtiyatam. Then we perform our Nitya Naimittika karmas with a samarpana bhava, in the spirit of offering. What it does, it helps to purify our mind. Tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi. We learned how to dedicate the actions to the Lord. Turning karma to karma yoga with arpita buddhi, dasya buddhi, and accepting the results as his prasada buddhi. Then, fourth instruction, kamye matistyajatam, giving up the desire prompted action. We need to give up the thought of what is in it for me. That kind of an attitude we need to serve. Papau gaf pariduyatam, washing away the sins in our heart. We can't really do anything about our prarabdha karma, but we can minimize or neutralize our prarabdhas by shanti karmas, dana, japa, tapa, etc. Then in the sixth instruction he said, bhavasukhe doshonusandhiyatam. By now, sadhaka's mind is mature spiritually. It has quietened. We turn from our achara to vichara, thinking. Bhagavan gave this instruction to us to see the defects in the bhava sukha, developing a dosha drushti, to develop pratipaksha bhavana. Atmecha vyavasiyatam. Then the desire to know the Atma comes. All these years, I have settled down for this momentary happiness. Enough. Not anymore. Then the quest begins. He begins the journey inward. Nijagruhat turnam vinirgamyatam. Escape from the bondages of the home. Meaning he loses the sense of abhimana, attachment towards all other external pursuits. He becomes a full-time sadhaka. He is aligned with the Vedic thinking. Then in the second verse, sangasatsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktirdrudha-dhiyatam shantyadif parichiyatam drudhataram karmashu santyajyatam. Sadvidvan upasrupyatam pratidinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksharamartyatam shrutishiror vakyam samakarnyatam. Sangaha satsu vidhiyatam. Satsanga. Seek the companionship of the men of wisdom. We have seen in Bhajagovindam, even in the last class, that the ladder of success. How satsanga can lead all the way to liberation. With satsanga, false values are removed. It's a lifestyle change. The right attitude to life is developed. The mind is reinforced with noble values. It will help the sadhaka to stay motivated on the spiritual path, helps to derive inspiration constantly from these noble people. Then Bhagavato Bhakti bhaktir drudhadiyatam. We need to be established in the firm devotion to the Lord. We saw different forms of bhakti. Navavidha bhakti from Bhagavat Purana. Saguna Sakara bhakti, glorifying the form and the attributes of the Lord, slowly leading us to the Nirguna Nirakara bhakti. We need to have that ashraya buddhi, that God will take care of me. I am taking shelter in the Lord. For that kind of a mumukshu, Bhagavan has promised in Bhagavad Gita that I will give him the Atmagnana. I will remove the Andhakara in his life, ignorance in his life. How? Jnanadipena Bhaswata. By lighting the lamp of knowledge. Then he gave the instruction, Shantyadif Parichiyatam. The individual sadhana begins. He is advising us to cultivate the virtues such as Shanti, Danti, the 6 disciplines of Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. I went through the detailed definitions of each one of those. What it does, it helps the seeker to slowly turn inward in a disciplined way. Drudataram karmashu santyajyatam. We need to recuse ourselves from karmas. Even if it is not total karma sannyasa, we need to take a deep look at our engagements. See, all our seva also needs to turn into knowledge. Bhagavan is telling, ultimately it will result in knowledge, but a lot of people give excuses that I have to go do seva at the same time. Priorities. Not to shrug away from our responsibility, but to avoid unnecessary desire prompted actions. Sadvidvan upasrupyatam. When the inner call comes, the sadhaka approaches a guru. This phase in sadhaka's life is called Guru Upasatti, Guru Upasadana. In order to learn that Atma Vidya, by now the student has examined the world. He has seen the defects. He has developed enough contrarian point of view. Then he approaches the Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru with what? Sacrificial faggots. Samit Pani, that firewood, symbolically representing the seva bhava of the student, humility of the student. He approaches the Guru. Pratidinam Tatpaduka Sevyatam. He does the Paduka Seva, Seva of the Guru, Guru Paduka Seva. We learnt last week that Paduka Seva does not mean we shine his shoes or clean his feet. Guru is considered that visible guide, that guiding light. Guru Padukas represent that platform that he stands on. Feet represents how firmly he is rooted in that knowledge. We chanted the Guru Paduka Stotram to seek the blessings of our entire Guru Parampara, because we are on the spiritual path. Brahmaikaksharam artyatam. Brahmaiva ekam aksharam artyatam. While serving the Guru, when the appropriate time comes, ask the Guru, Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Please teach me this Brahma Vidya. I want to know this highest truth. We also learnt last week that Omkara represents that entire essence of the Vedas. Om symbolizes everything, the means and the goal, the form and the formless. That Omkara, that Pranava mantra, he can meditate on that Akshara Brahma. That brings us where we had left off last week. Brings us to the last instruction of the second verse. Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. Shruti Shira, the head of Shruti, meaning Vedanta. Shiro Vakya is that Vedanta Vakya. Those Upanishad Vakyas. There are many Mahavakyas. Let us briefly understand this instruction again. I'll try to keep it very brief because it can take forever to explain this. As we already know, what is our problem? Triple A is our problem. A. Advitiya Atma Agnanam. Triple A. Caused by my avidya, my ignorance, due to adhyasa, due to superimposition, and my ahankara, my ego, which creates a notion of I and mine. So triple A is our problem. Due to this, it creates a notion, Bhranti, that I am a finite being, that I am limited. This notion is the cause for all emotions and all other chaos in our life. That it creates, I am limited, I am finite. We call this in Vedanta Parichinnatva. This creates the notion, limited perception of an individual, a sense of finitude. It's also called as Jiva Bhava. What this does? Two things. Anatmani Atma Buddhi. It creates a notion that this Anatma is Atma. Jagati Satyatva Buddhi. The world, the objects of the world are real and permanent. So, in short, with the identification with the Anatma, I become the doer, Kartrutva, I become the enjoyer, Bhoktrutva. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper into this ocean of samsara. Because of this notion, I settle down for that momentary happiness in the world outside. But now, our sadhaka has realized this, has reached the Guru. Through the Guru, he is learning Brahma Vidya. A guru says you are not a limited being. This is not you. You are the same consciousness that is everywhere. So the essence of Vedanta is found in these great declarations or Mahavakyas. One-liner. They are numerous and appear in many different places in the Vedas. There are 4 popularly known Mahavakyas from our different Upanishads that are often quoted. One from each Vedas. Though every Mahavakya is complete by itself, it has the potential to grant liberation to a fit student, a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikari. Normally, a storyline is created often told to connect the teachings in the 4 Mahavakyas that provide a roadmap to the sadhaka. When the Guru says Pragnanam Brahma, that consciousness is Brahman. From the Aitariya Upanishad in Rigveda, it declares that consciousness, that spiritual core that enlivens each of us, it is the same all-pervading consciousness in all beings and things. We call this Mahavakya a Lakshana Vakya, a statement of definition. Then the second Mahavakya, Tattvam Asi, that thou art. From Chandogya Upanishad, Samaveda. When the disciple hears Guru's Lakshana Vakya, he reflects on that Vakya, comes back to Guru with Sandeha, with doubts. Guru says, hey, this is not outside, it is not inside, it is you. This is a Upadesha Vakya, a statement of instruction. The Guru tells the disciple that he is that same Supreme Brahman, not this limited being that he imagines to be. The truth that the disciple is seeking is none other than his own self. This is to be realized through vichara, self-enquiry. Then the disciple comes back, now through meditation, after overcoming his viparita bhavana, habitual thinking of the truth as something other than himself, comes back to the teacher with his intimate experience of the truth and pronounces Aham Brahma Asmi. From the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajurveda, this Mahavakya illustrates his experience, a statement of experience, Anubhava Vakya. Then finally, I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman, from the Mandukya Upanishad of Atharvana Veda. Once the disciple is firmly established in his real nature, that instruction will also come today. The Guru advises him to constantly revel and abide in that self, Brahma Atma Samstiti. That nature of abidance, that nature of that constant awareness is expressed in this Mahavakya, which is called Anusandhana Vakya, a statement of constant abidance. Our Puja Gurudev used to call these statements as identity revealing statements. The Mahavakya which reveals that Jiva Brahma Aikya, that oneness of Jiva and Brahma, that consciousness is everywhere in all beings. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. Atmai Vedam Sarvam. This is Shiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. This is Vedanta Vakya Shravanam. Because that Shravanam will remove the Ajnana. Ajnana Avarana Nivrutti. Then proper mananam, reflection, will remove samshaya, doubts. And then nididhyasanam will remove the erroneous notions, viparita bhavana. I hope you got the essence of that. With that, we will move on to verse number 3. Vakyartascha vicharyatam. Actually, we should recite the second one since we completed that one more time. Sangasatsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktirdrudha dhiyatam shantyadih parichiyatam drudhataram karmashu santyajyatam sadvidvanupasrapyatam pratidinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksaramartyatam shrutishiro vakyam samakarnyatam. Vakyartascha vicharyatam shrutishirah pakshas samashriyatam dustarkat suviramyatam shrutimatas tarkonusandhiyatam brahmasmiti vibhavyatam aharahar garvah parityajyatam dehe ahammatirujyatam buddhajanair vadah parityajyatam. Beautiful instructions. Vakyartascha vicharyatam. Now Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is asking the sadhaka to do mananam on the Mahavakyas. Mahavakya vichara. Reflecting on these declarations. Let that sink in. What is the direct meaning of these statements? What is the vachyartha? What is the lakshyartha? What is the implied meaning? I am Alpagna, he is Sarvagna, I as Jiva has characteristics that are so dissimilar to that of Ishvara. How do I apply these implied meaning through Jahati Lakshana, Bhagatyaga Lakshana? All these we study in Vedanta. This is Vachyartas Vakyartascha Vicharyatam. Through Yukti, to clear the doubts leading us slowly to Anubhuti. Experiential knowledge. Vedanta Vakyartha Vicharana Adhyavasana Nivruttahi Brahma Avagatihi. This type of inquiry will slowly lead us to Brahman. Brahmanhood, our Gurudev used to call. So the next two instructions of Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gives us a cautionary statements. A lot of sadhakas fall into this trap in getting into discussions, starting to use erroneous logic to win an argument. That's why he is saying Shruti Shira Paksha Samashriyatam. Shruti Shira Paksha. Now, having understood the Mahavakyas, so the sadhaka should take the ashraya with the help of Shruti Shira, support of the Vedanta. Having understood the meaning of that, he should not start talking that, you know what, I was miserable before I studied Vedanta, and I tell you what, I am even more miserable now. Don't start talking like that. I am serious. Lot of times in the study groups, what happens? The moderator or the study group leader who is not well versed in Vedanta, he is supposed to bring the discussion back in line, aligned with the Shastras. Instead, he or she will also join the fallacious argument and we reach nowhere. And the next instruction is similar to the discussion. Dustarkat suviramyatam. Dustarka. We need to avoid this fallacious logic. This is called dustarka, kutarka. Simply said in English, kind of like showboating. All this can get a good line for applause, even name and fame, But if the goal is truly Atma Gnana, Brahmatma Bodha, leading to moksha, it ain't going to happen. It'll never happen. So our thinking should be in the right direction. It should be aligned with the scriptures. A lot of times I've heard we need to have an interactive discussion, interactive session. That is perfectly fine as long as it is in line to seek a clarification, to clear the doubts. We need to stay away from the temptation to prove that I know more than the teacher. Like they say in an argument, you know the difference between an argument and a discussion. In an argument, they want to know who is right. But in a discussion, especially in a meaningful discussion, we want to know what is right. That's the difference. Then in the next instruction, he says, Shrutimata Tarkonusandhiyatam. Here the advice is, take that ashraya buddhi, that shelter in Vedanta, means that we need to think logically with the support of the Shastras. That is Shrutimata Tarkonusandhiyatam. Shruti Paksha Samashriyatam. See, Vedanta gives us so many ways to understand. Shariratraya Viveka, that which is beyond the gross body, subtle body and the causal body. Atma Anatma Viveka, what is Atma, what is Anatma. Pancha Kosha Viveka, that which is beyond all the 5 sheets. Shreya Preya Viveka, the path of the pleasant versus the path of the good. Drushya Viveka, the logic of seer and the seen. Gunatraya Viveka, to point us in the right direction. Shruti gives us all this already. But we need to believe that Atindriya Vishaye Vedaha Pramanam. That Pramana Buddhi. We need to have that Shraddha in the scriptures and the Guru Vakya. Then once we have understood, did enough mananam, Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam. Brahma asmi iti vibhavyatam. This is Gnana Abhyasa instruction. Gnana Abhyasa. Once we have understood the Aham Brahma Asmi, how do I turn that into my own experience? The teacher says, you are that. Am I that? How does that become effortless? How can I be constantly in that awareness? Aham asamsari atma asmi. Constantly feeding us with these type of thoughts. Naham dehosmi. I am not this body. Aham sat chit ananda swarupa atma asmi. Like they say for a musician, that Shruti is playing in the background. This thought, this I am Brahma thought, this vichara, this abidance for the sadhaka should be nirantara abhyasa. That constant abidance should be engaged in that Brahma Atma Samsthiti. That abidance, no wavering. That is the power of this instruction. Aharahar garvav parityajyatam. Very important cautionary statement, renounce that pride. A lot of times at this stage of sadhaka, the pride kicks in. See how many followers I have, how much I have studied, how much I know. That is why the Vamana Avatara, to give up that pride, that stands for that humility. You have the knowledge, but give up that pride. And what is our Mahavakya for that? Our Mahavakya for this group would be, ego is not my amigo, I have to let it go. One more time, ego is not my amigo, I have to let it go. That's a trademark statement. In Bhajagovindam, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji reminded us, Makuru dhana jana yavana garvam harati nimeshat kalaha sarvam maya mayamidam akilam hitva brahmapadam tvam pravisha viditva. Verse number 11. Makuru garvam. Do not have this false pride. Garva. In what? Dhana, jana, yavana. Our possessions, people around us, and yavana, youthfulness. Because kalaha, time, sarvam nimeshat harati. In a moment, it takes away everything. So what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is cautioning, that wealth is not constant, our relationships are not constant. That's why we call them relatives, not constants. Youth, it cannot stay long. Social status, power, they are all momentary, kshanika. Therefore, ahar. He knows we cannot just give up overnight. He says slowly, ahar. But surely give up that false pride. Dehe ahammati rujyatam. Slowly get rid of that I notion, that I am this body. Paropakarartam idam shariram. This body is needed to serve everybody. Others. Paropakara. Not self-preservation. That is the power of that instruction. Dehe ahammati rujyatam. Then finally, 24th verse, Buddha janair vadaf parityajyatam. Very important instruction, very important advice for the sadhakas. When we meet the Mahatmas, Mahapurushas, they are very compassionate people. They themselves are not gaining anything by teaching us, because they are compassionate, they want to elevate us. It is purely our gain that we come in contact with these Mahapurushas. So at that time, Buddha janair vadaha parityajyatam. Don't engage in an unnecessary argument with them. Mundaka Upanishad calls this person who knows, the Gnani, he will never become Ativadi. He will never argue with the unwise. If somebody picks up an argument, he'll say, Hari Om, thank you, you are great. So we need to approach, when we get these people of wisdom, men of wisdom, we need to approach them with an attitude to learn from them. Like they say, when two wise people meet, there will be light. When two unwise people meet, there will only be heat and sound. I hope you got that little play of words there. On that note, I would like to conclude here. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrutyorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo